You know, it's a great time and it's great. The 3 a.m. kind of sucks. I don't know if I'm gonna like being on reserve.
I think I'm starting to like reserve.
Let's talk about it. Okay, so probably one of the most common questions that pilots can typically get asked is what reserve is. So people understand that pilots obviously fly, go on trips, travel around, but it doesn't always necessarily mean that we have a set schedule to where we know where we're going to fly a month at a time. So like me right now, I'm on reserve, and what reserve means is I'm on call essentially. I'm on call for a set amount of time. They need me to fly a trip, then if it's in that time frame, they'll give me a call and just send me off to go fly. So there's multiple kinds of reserves. Think I'll probably get into that in this video, but what I am specifically is a short call reserve. I can't speak to every company, but specifically with my company, short call is based on where you're based. And so for me, being based Orlando, my call period is 3 hours. And so what that means is from the time I answer the phone, they have to give me a minimum of 3 hour notice before my report time. So I am what's called an R3, which means I start at 3 a.m. Right at 3 a.m., I'm technically on call. So if they call me right at 3 a.m., the earliest I can actually start and be at the airport for a trip would be 6 a.m., if that makes sense. So with my reserve, I am on call for 14 hours. So from 3 a.m. to 5 p.m. There's a lot of contract agreements that we have with that about when they can actually call me for a trip, but the gist of it is contactable 3 a.m. to 5 p.m. Notify me of a trip for that time. Typically for most reserve pilots, me personally, I like to be 6 days straight on call and 4 to 5 days off.
All right, so here's a better look at what my current schedule is looking like for September into October. So this was my last trip. You can see I got back around 3 p.m. on the 11th, the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th are all GDO, so those are guaranteed day off. The 16th is actually the start of reserve, so that R3 is for 3 a.m. until 1700, so 5 p.m. And that's for the entire week. You can see I didn't get called, so that's why they just kind of stayed green. So those were times I was home. And then the 22nd through the 25th were days off again. And then I start tomorrow on the 26th with R3. We'll see if I get called for that. But if I don't, that's just more time home. And then it goes into my actual days off again into October.
And as reserve, that doesn't always mean you get used for all 6 days. I mean, my last 2 stretches of 6-day reserve, I haven't been called. So essentially, I've been off for about 2 weeks, maybe even a little bit more than 2 weeks. And so that's the good thing of it. People look at it different ways. Obviously, I do love to fly and I like to fly, but it's also nice to get paid and be at home and do other things. So as far as how pay works, and again, this is specifically with my company, but it's pretty standard this way, but we have a minimum guaranteed pay, which is about 72 to 75 hours depending on your company. So as long as I don't call out sick, no matter what, I'm getting paid the 72 hours a month. Unless I get used so much and fly so much, I fly over that. That's the only exception, or calling out sick. But the only exception to getting paid more than my guaranteed 72 hours a month of pay would be if I flew more than that amount. There's other things around that too, if I picked up or they really needed help and things like that, but I'm just gonna keep it very bare bones here. You can get asked things like why reserve, who would choose reserve, and reserve is typically more junior, for junior pilots, people who are lower on the totem pole. But some senior pilots like it because it's very seniority based on who gets called. If me and someone who's been with the company for 5-10 years. We're both FOs. We have the same amount of reserve availability. We have the same 3 a.m. call. They'll probably call me first before they call him, just based on the hierarchy, unless he says, hey, I want to get called. So that's how that will typically work. I don't know, I've seen on YouTube and things of a lot of reserve pilots on YouTube who say, hey, they're on reserve, and the things that they like to do, they can get heat, like, hey, aren't you a pilot? Don't you love to fly? And like I said before, yeah, I love to fly, but I also love a good work-life balance and live in Orlando. As you guys know, me and Rebecca, we like to go to the parks and we like to do all kinds of things. And I feel like being on reserve is giving me the availability to, yes, fly when they need me or call me, but also enjoy the lifestyle that we have as far as living in Orlando and doing things that we like to do. I mean, even in the span of a couple of days, like while being on call, you've gone to multiple parks and you can do all kinds of things, whether it's parks or just be at home and be lazy all day, just waiting to get called. And you do have to be ready as well. And so while I'm actually on call, that doesn't necessarily mean I have to be in uniform dressed at the airport sitting there. I can be home, I could be on call right now, and I just kind of wait to get the call. And as long as I'm at that airport at the report time, I mean, no harm, no foul. So, I mean, as long as I have my bags packed and my uniform's ready to go and I can show at the airport in proper uniform, ready to operate, I could be anywhere. There's times where I can be at places like the Grand Floridian and the Grand Floridian. We can be in Magic Kingdom. We could be on Pirates. We can be on the People Mover. Sometimes you might just walk around and watch the fireworks. Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin to try and get the top score. Or, I mean, I can just be where we live at and, you know, be in the pool. And if we're not always Disney, we can go to, obviously, Universal, go on Transformers, go on the Hulk. Probably not water rides. And that's just because getting wet, that's a whole thing. You have to walk around the chafing. Not dealing with the chafing, you gotta change, get dry just in case it did call you. You can explore cave. Maybe we'll go on rides that I don't want to go on, that she will make me go on. I mean, walk around resorts, maybe go to Cabana Bay and get a malt. The best malts, chocolate malt, Cabana Bay. So really what I'm saying with all this is reserve has its pros and cons for sure. Let's say I'm flying exactly to my 72 hours. I'm flying exactly 70, 75 hours a month because they keep calling me every time I'm on call. They call me, hey, we have a 4-day, we have a 2-day, we have a turn, just nonstop. The only downside of that is I know I would make the same exact pay regardless. So if they didn't call me at all that month, I would still make the same amount of money as if I took all those trips. So there's pros and cons to it, to know like, hey, I get called out before it, okay, great. I get to go to New York or LA or Puerto Rico, things like that. The only thing is I know I would get paid the same regardless and just be at home or go to a park or go do something like that. So it depends on how you look at it, double-sided coin. But I mean, there's definitely times where I get a trip and it's awesome, and me and Becca, she'll come with me because she can definitely come with me on these trips, and you know, it's a great time and it's great. The 3 a.m. kind of sucks a little bit, but it is what it is. I don't mind it too much because once I've pretty much woken up if I've woken up under my own power, it's a good day because that means they haven't called me and probably won't call me for the rest of that day. So that works out for me, kind of. I'm not too much of a morning person. I definitely prefer the night. But yeah, I'm gonna try and do things like this as far as trying to explain in more detail of what reserve life, what we do on trips, what we do at hotels, what I personally like to do on my days off, what it's like living in Orlando, and any questions you guys have. I'm gonna try my best to make sure I do the best videos with what I got, and try and be as informative as I can. And let me know if you guys want to see anything else. Appreciate you.